patitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Bhagavad Gita is a very important book in the tradition of Vedanta. It is set in Mahabharata. So the way the relationship is, when you say you are studying Vedanta, so actually what it means is this. Okay. When you say you are studying Vedanta, Vedanta literally means Veda plus Anta. Veda is a book of knowledge. So we have 4 books: Yajurved, Samaved, Atharvaved, and Yajurved. Okay, so that means you have, and what appears at the end portion of the Veda is this whole inquiry. What appears at the end portion of the Veda are the Upanishads. And Upanishads, by their own name, they suggest what the subject matter is. I don't want to go too much in detail, but Upa is something which is near, and the nearest that you can have is the self, right? You can't get nearer. So it is I. And Ni. So it is a well ascertained, Ni stands for Nishchayatmika, so well ascertained knowledge. Nature of I, and what it will do is, this comes from the root sat, sadlu, and in Dhatupatha. So most of the Sanskrit words come from a root, and here the root is sat, and it has 3 meanings. One is that which removes. The other one is totally disintegrates, and the third is which makes you gain. This is the root meaning. So what it then means is the knowledge of well ascertained knowledge of I, because all of us know I am, but we don't have a well ascertained knowledge of I. So our I is loaded with hundreds of things. So here Upanishads make you see your I in the true light, and what it will do is remove your smallness, remove your afflictions, and also a sense of incompleteness in your life. But this smallness, afflictions, the sense of incompleteness, sometimes it goes. Well, in life it goes, right? You feel good, you achieve things, but the problem is it comes back. So here it totally disintegrates. So it disintegrates in a way that it doesn't just come and go, come and go, come and go. It goes once and for all. So it totally disintegrates. And all as a result of this, smallness, afflictions and incompleteness, there are further loads we acquire about fears, anger, sadness. So it totally not only frees you from this, but it also, these are the products of this, and it also totally frees you from this. So that is totally disintegrates and makes you gain what? So from morning class you can tell me, what does it make you gain? Freedom. Wonderful. It makes you gain the freedom that you are looking for. So it's interesting. The words Upanishads themselves will tell you what exactly it is talking about. It's the nature of the well-ascertained knowledge of nature of I, which removes your sense of smallness, afflictions, incompleteness, and its products of fear, anger, sadness. And it totally disintegrates in a way that it doesn't come back, and it makes you gain the freedom that you are searching for. So this is the meaning of the word Upanishads. Okay. Now, so Vedanta literally means the study of Upanishads, but a very important part of studying Vedanta is also Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not part of the Vedas. So Bhagavad Gita is set in Mahabharata. And it's a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. And why do we study it with Vedanta? We study it with Vedanta because Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna the same knowledge which is taught in the Upanishads. So this is why if you study Bhagavad Gita, here this is the 12th chapter. Yeah. So if you go to the end of the 12th, the total end, it will say, Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu.
Last.
The last.
Of the Bhagavad Gita.
So it will say, this is what is said in Bhagavad Gita. Do you find it? Yeah. And it is also said in Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su, in Bhagavad Gita, and also Upanishads. So that means what is said in Bhagavad Gita is also said in the Upanishads. So therefore, Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna not something which is new. He himself acknowledges that there is a fourth chapter where he talks about that he has taught this knowledge to Manu, Vivasva, people who are. So that means he is acknowledging the fact that he is not the author of this knowledge. It's something which is going on way before him. Okay? So this is why we study Bhagavad Gita, because it's actually talking about the same reality. But why does Bhagavad Gita occupy such an important place in the study of Vedanta is because the context under which it is set, and that is what Arjuna's grief, Arjuna's dilemma. Arjuna was highly disturbed by the fact that he had to fight a war with his own cousins, and on the other side there were his teachers, his elders, so all that was a huge kind of a turmoil for him, and that made him kind of, and as I explained in the morning, even though he was not a loser, he was highly skilled, he was very successful, he was a very privileged person, and still he breaks down. He breaks down because he doesn't know how to handle the situation in front of him, right? So, and at that time, he is asking Lord Krishna for two kind of answers. He's saying, what should I do in this situation? Because, and he gives several reasons why he did not want to fight. But at the same time, he says, anyway, you tell me what will give me the final fulfillment that I am searching for. And this is when Lord Krishna starts teaching him the nature of Atma, which will give him the final fulfillment. But because Arjuna was, in a state, so there is a lot of discussion in Bhagavad Gita as to how do you grow to become eligible for this knowledge. So as I told you in the morning, that the teaching is not only telling you who is eligible for knowledge, but he's also the teaching also makes you eligible for knowledge. So what it means is, it teaches you how to, all the things which I told you, right, that we all carry all kinds of loads. So it also teaches you how to free ourselves from the loads, so that we become ready for this knowledge. So this is why Bhagavad Gita occupies a very, very important role in the teaching tradition, because actually Bhagavad Gita keeps switching back and forth. What is back and forth? It shows the reality, then it talks about your daily life and how to handle your things. Then it will go back to the realities and it will teach you how to put it, like how to use this knowledge in your day-to-day living. So this is why people find it extremely relevant, and because it's not just very sophisticated philosophical thoughts, but they are really applied to your day-to-day living. And then even Upanishads do it, but this Bhagavad Gita does it extensively. Okay? So this is why we study Gita. And what we study in the morning is called Atma Bodha. It doesn't belong to any of the two categories. Atma, so this in technical terms, Vedanta is called Shruti. In Bhagavad Gita is called Smriti. And this is called Prakarana Grantha. What does Prakarana Grantha mean? Prakarana Grantha means that the teachers of Vedanta who teach Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, over a period of time, they want to present the subject matter in their own words, in their own logic, in their own with their own creativity. So they can do it, and they have written many books. So Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, Sadhana Panchakam, all these different texts, Viveka Chudamani, Drik Drishya Viveka, this other very famous Panchadashi. These are all Prakarana Granthas. Okay? So when we study Vedanta, we study all of this. So when we study 10 Upanishads, no, not 10, 6 or 7 Upanishads on which Adi Shankaracharya has written his commentaries. We studied entire Bhagavad Gita with Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries, and we studied some of these Prakarana Granthas. That's the study of Vedanta. Okay? Now, let's study. Yes?
Just to understand, I believe there are multiple kinds of Vedantas, and one is Advaita Vedanta. Are we, studying Advaita Vedanta?
Yeah, we are studying Advaita Vedanta. Yes. So, okay, that's yet another question. So, so there are questions within questions. This is ocean of knowledge. So maybe I'll take it up in Satsang. Yeah. So technically, yes, this is called Advaita Vedanta. Advaita means non-dual. Non-dual means the vision of oneness. And then you have, within Indian philosophy, if you study, you have what we call Advaiti schools and Advaita schools. Advaita is only one school. If you study philosophy, Advaita is one, Dvaita schools are many, and that includes Sankhya, Yoga, Vaisheshika, Nayayika, all of that is a part of Dvaita schools. And then you have something called Vishishta Dvaita. Vishishta Advaita means Advaita, it's oneness, but it's qualified. So, let me just very briefly explain to you what this means. What does Dvaita school mean actually? So you have to know. I don't want to, I will go, in fact, when I do the Atma Bodha, I will do a little bit of other schools. But right now, that's not really what we have to do. But Dvaita schools technically mean that there is Jiva Jiva Bheda, Jiva Jagat Bheda, and Jiva Ishvara Bheda. So what it means, technically means is, Dvaita means, doesn't mean, duality means what? Either there is a difference between one individual and from other individual. That is one way of looking at Dvaita. Or you can look at duality in terms of individual is different from the universe. Different from the universe means I am here and the universe is out there, so that makes it two. And the third is Jiva Ishvara Veda. Individual is different from Ishvara. This, whichever, there are many different ways of looking at it, but all of these are considered Dvaita schools. Vishishta Advaita is different from Advaita. Vishishta Advaita, according to them, there is oneness, but it is qualified. So what is the oneness? They talk about as everything is Ishvara. So in that sense there is one. But within this huge entity Ishvara, we are all individuals which are within Ishvara. So we are not totally Ishvara, but we are one. This is why it is called Vishishta Advaita. And then you have Advaita, which actually is not totally denying this, but it is going one step further. So suppose, just very simply, then we will see a lot more in the morning class. Suppose each individual, if you want to give an example, is considered a wave, suppose, and Ishvara is equivalent to the ocean, which contains all the different waves. So either you can stop there and you can say there is one entity called ocean, and all of us individuals are within this ocean, and we are all just different entities which come and go, whereas Ishvara, the ocean, is a permanent entity. Or you can go one step further and you can say, whether you look at this whole big entity called ocean, or you look at this small entity called wave, ultimately everything is water. So that means there is a difference. You can't say there is no difference, because wave is not exactly ocean, right? Wave is small, ocean is big. In appearance it is different. At the same time, if you switch and if you look at water, is there anything other than water? There is no second entity. And is water little less in the wave than in the ocean? Every drop of water is entire H2O, full. Whether you take the whole small drop or you take the entire ocean, the content is only H2O. And whole of H2O in every part. It's not divided. One has H, the other one has the second H, the other one has O. No. Every drop has entire H2O. This is the vision. This is what we call Advaita. Because ultimately, even individual and Ishvara resolve in one reality. And this is how you come to infinity. Okay? So, this is called, so what we are studying technically, if you look at, within this framework of 6 schools of thought of Indian philosophy, it is Advaita Vedanta. let's look at the 12th chapter. You all know the story of Mahabharata, so I don't need to tell you again. Let me just go straight to the 12th chapter. And 12th chapter is called, it's a lovely chapter. It is called Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So Arjuna has a question. So we'll start with Arjuna's question. Arjuna vacha evam sadata yuktaye bhaktasvam paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Okay, who wants to read the translation? Durya, you want to read?
I was just going to say, I'll read. In this manner, there are those devotees who, abidingly committed, meditate upon you, and also there are those who seek you as one who is not object to decline and not available for objectification. Who among them are the greatest knowers of yoga?
Wow. What is his question? Can you crack it? What is he asking? Okay. He's asking something very important. He's asking, in the morning we saw, and even here when you see Upanishads, so what it seems as though we are seeking the knowledge of I. And as Rajashik was saying, that suppose you are saying I is the whole, so whole means infinity. So what you are trying to crack is infinity. Right? So now it seems as though, okay, so you just want to do this and you want to understand the nature of I. Now Arjuna is asking, this is one, which is what he is using this word as avyakta, the ultimate reality. So he is asking, should we, when we are in our search, spiritual search for moksha, should we concentrate on the nature of I and keep reflecting on it? Or we bring Isvara in your life, in our life, and we try to incorporate Isvara and begin to change ourselves. So do you understand? One is an inquiry into the absolute reality and the nature of I, and the other one is into the cause of the universe and entering into relationship with that. Right? What is bhakti? Bhakti by definition means, bhakti is a relative term. What is a relative term? With reference to my father, I'm a daughter. Right? With reference to you, maybe I'm a friend outside the class. In the class, maybe I'm a teacher. So it's called a relational term. Right? So this bhakti is with reference to whom? Who do you have? You are a devotee with reference to whom? Isvara, the cause of the universe. Isvara doesn't mean anything. Isvara means cause of the universe. So Arjuna's question is basically, should I just inquire into the nature of I and understand how I am this whole, or I need to what? Bring in Isvara and also relate to Isvara. Which of the two is better? Did you understand his question? One, you can think you didn't understand? Okay. So as I told you, either you can just concentrate on what is this individual and what's its reality and all of that, or this individual, ultimately, maybe that's what you want to get to, but initially the individual enters into understanding what is this Isvara within which all of us are contained, and enter into relationship with Isvara. Do you see? Get it? Yeah. So either you can just focus on the final reality, which is the water, or you can say, me as an individual, let me relate to the ocean. And in that relationship of ocean, what I begin to change my life. And then ultimately I get to this water. So which is better? Sorry?
Relating to Ishvara.
Yeah, so you know Lord Krishna's answer, Shona. So why? Okay, now it's very good. Okay, good. That gives me an opportunity. Why?
So because when you relate to
this universe, you know your place in this universe, and therefore with that relation you can come to know what your true nature is.
Okay. So, anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you relate to somebody, that means there is already a duality. You are saying that there are two different, we are different from the Isvara. In this example, waves are different from the ocean. But if you don't relate to that, then you are one in any case, which is the true reality.
So now what are you saying? Which is better? Because look, Arjuna is asking a question, right? Do you understand? He's asking a question. Right now, I have a choice. I'm a spiritual seeker. Either I can just concentrate on understanding this final reality about myself, or I can enter into a relationship with Isvara and somehow continue that and grow as an individual and then come to this.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
You can't do one without the other, no? If you don't know your relationship, then how do you know water?
Okay. I think that's a very good answer. What did you say, Krishna? No, it's good. It sounds good. It sounds good to me.
If you don't understand your relationship with Ishvara, then how do you understand Ishvara, which is water?
Okay, that's a very good answer actually. Please don't think that that's a good answer. In fact, please don't think that there are two separate pursuits. Right? It's not a separate pursuit. Ultimately, you want to understand the reality as a whole. And if you want to understand the reality as whole, suppose as this wave keeps telling itself, I'm ultimately water, I'm ultimately water, I'm ultimately water. It's a fact. But then what? It seems as though your relationship with the universe is not changing at all. You are just kind of coming to this final reality and going on repeating that I'm ultimately water. But what actually needs to change is the vision of whole is a huge vision. It's not a small vision. It's not a small little entity keeps saying I'm infinite, I'm infinite. That doesn't really, even though it's a fact, it doesn't it's not considered complete. You need to the whole universe have where you see we live with this whole in this universe because we don't have Ishvara in our life. We live with an orientation which is me versus the world. This is how we live in this world. I'm here, the world is out there, and I'm trying to manage in this vast universe. I'm trying to get the universe to do what I want it to do, but it doesn't always do what I want it to do. So I'm upset, I'm frustrated, I give names to the world. But actually where you see the frightening world, there is Ishvara. And in recognizing this Ishvara, there is your connection to everybody else. This is where you transform. This is where you see chaos, you see the intelligent order. Do you understand? And that leads to expansion. That's what makes you noble. And as you begin to become noble, you shed all your loads. And as you shed the loads, this real picture of infinity begins to be clear.
So, is it fair to say that I'm a microcosm in the macrocosm?
So initially, yes, initially correct. Then you have to move to this reality, but initially one has to start there. Because in that, there is a lot of change which is going to take place. And that transformation is required for your mind to reach the final reality. How do you give up the loads? As I told you in the morning, with the loads that we carry, we cannot understand the final vision. But how do you give up the loads? It doesn't just go away like that. So you need to re-understand your relationship with the world and your relationship with the cause of the universe. In that proper understanding of the relationship, you shed so many loads. And that mind, which is free from loads, as a result of relating to Ishvara, then becomes ready for the knowledge. Many hands were up. Yes.
I want to ask that, does relating to Isvara, like you said, ultimately I am water is not the way directly to me. So does it kind of foster the feeling of sense of interdependence and
Excellent.
gratitude?
Superb. So this whole chapter shows you, if you bring Ishvara in your life, what about you is going to change? Right? How many things in your life are going to change, and that as you change and you become bigger and there is an expansion. So that means you actually ultimately you have to move from me versus the world to you being interconnected. You are being part of this grand scheme of things, and your participation in this world has to improve, and your dissatisfaction levels have to go down. So that is something which is required. So that means you first need to bring Ishvara in your life, without which this knowledge is not complete. So therefore, this is what Lord Krishna will. Let's listen to Lord Krishna's answer. Somebody else had their hands up? Mrinalini, doctor.
I wanted to ask, is it the second one relating to Isvara in Dvaita Vedanta and the first one is
Even I have the same question.
Okay, that's a good question.
What is your question? Can you repeat?
Yeah, that's a good question. Suppose you relate to Vedanta, suppose you begin to relate to Ishvara, so then, okay, then are you not then creating duality? Because ultimately you want to get to know non-duality. So why are you creating duality to get to non-duality? That's her question. You understand? Yeah.
Well, you start with the feeling and experience of duality, and by getting the relationship to Isvara, you can release the duality, I would say.
Okay.
But
Okay, so what she's saying is, ultimately you want to go to non-duality, but you start with duality and then you share it and then you go to non-duality.
That's transforming.
That is transforming. Okay. Is this exactly when you relate to Ishvara not as first, we need to ask, I have to come to that first, because ocean is not considered, please understand, when we are talking about ocean, the cause of the universe, we are not talking about an ocean which is totally separate from the wave. This is not this relationship. You understand? It's not like you, the individual, are here and the cause of the universe is away from you in time and space. This is called duality. This is why this is not called duality. This is called Vishishta Advaita. Why? Because ocean contains every wave, but ocean is bigger than every wave. There are no separate entities. Suppose in this, if I count ocean, what else is there? Nothing. So that means it is still within oneness. We have not created duality here. Please understand, because what happens is that when we start talking about things, our understanding goes from here to there. Actually, we are not creating duality. This is not considered duality. Because now you are not relating to Isvara like this. This will create duality. I am here, separated in time and space, and Isvara is something which is away from me. In this vision, what happens? Every wave is contained in the ocean. Ocean includes all the waves, but ocean is not only confined to waves. Waves come and go. Ocean is always there, but there is no separate wave which is outside the ocean. So this is not called first going to duality and then coming to non-duality. Do you get that? This is still working within non-duality. But we are going from Vishishta Advaita to Advaita. Doesn't matter. Let's not use these words, because these words, when you try to understand everything through these words, they are just talking about different philosophies. So please don't use these terms are meant, they are technical terms. Right? So here we are not talking about duality. Just that's what you need to understand. When you understand every individual is very intimately related to the ocean. Every individual is part of this ocean. Ocean, if you count, there is no other entity other than Dev. That is what we call a relationship with Ishvara. Okay? So we are not deviating from oneness. Is it clear? Yeah.
Then why use Isvara? Why not Brahman?
Yeah. This is something which is very, very important. And this is the question. The whole question is that. Because ocean in this example refers to Ishvara and water refers to Brahman. So this is Arjuna's question. Do you at first understand the question? Because if you don't understand the question, you will certainly not understand the answer. So therefore, what is he asking? Me, as an individual, do I need to relate to Ishvara, or can I just go straight to Brahman? This is what he's asking. Is it clear?
And the answer is?
Very good. So I'm going to now. He's a wise one. Indresh is a wise one. Let's hear what Lord Krishna has to say. Okay, wonderful. So now I will answer. Now let's see what Lord Krishna has to say.
This was the first verse of the chapter 12.
It was a question.
So you arrived late, so you don't have the context, right? In which Arjuna is asking this question that then Lord Krishna will reply to in the rest of the chapter. So you have the same question Arjuna, and now we listen to what Lord Krishna is saying.
So Arjuna asked about not to meditate for who? Meditate as Krishna as a personality or not?
No. He's not saying anything. He's just saying, do I relate to you? Here it stands for Isvara. Doesn't stand for Lord Mr. Krishna. Right? Yeah. So
it's really difficult.
So it is difficult. This is why I told you what Ishvara means, right? What he is asking. This is why I tried to explain.
Ishvara or
Brahman.
Sorry, what did you say about that? He's not relating to Krishna. What did you just say about?
Yeah, it's not easy to.
So we are not talking about. Okay, we are not talking about this you, the individual, relating to Mr. Krishna, who is away from you, right? When he's saying that, do I relate to you? He means what? Ocean, which includes everything. But doesn't matter. First, let's first understand the question, and then we will answer the question. Okay. Who you have a question?
From what I understood about Arjuna's question, he's trying to get an answer to whether the way I seek you as an Ishvara, is as I seek you as Ishvara, or I seek you as as the concept. Is that the kind of question?
So what he says is, ultimately, there are two ways that, suppose you are talking about oneness. So ultimately you have to understand that both wave and ocean are water, right? So in this case, both Jiva, the individual, and Ishvara are Brahman. So do I think about Brahman and contemplate on Brahman, or do I first relate to you?
Correct. The first part was whether I relate to you or I think of you as Brahman.
Yeah,
so that's the question.
Yeah, that's the question, right? So this is yes.
Like they say concept of Nama Rupa. So if the wave is Nama Rupa only, aren't we giving another name to the water as ocean? So even the Ishwar is a Nama Rupa?
Yeah. the thing is, that's true, and this is a very common feeling that everything is Nama-Rupa, it's only Brahman that matters, right? And this is exactly what Arjuna wanted to do. Arjuna is that. Arjuna wants to go straight to the final reality.
Skip some stages.
And skip, exactly. And skip all the other stages. Why? Because other things are just Nama-Rupa. So this is a very common thing that people subscribe to, especially when they study this Advaita Vedanta, right? That you want to get to the final point. And then everything else is kind of mithya, it is all maya, it's all irrelevant, and anyway it's all Nama-Rupa, so who cares, right? This is the very common feeling among Advaitins, and that's why they kind of look down on bhakti, they could look down on relating to Isvara, but you will be surprised what Lord Krishna's answer to that is. Okay, before that we have questions.
Just a small question. So he is actually asking what object of meditation I should choose.
There is no meditation here.
Oh, okay, so contemplation.
Yeah, contemplation.
So
Yeah.
What should I think about?
Yes,
So
exactly.
like this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah? Okay, it's a question. Okay.
One more. Is in his question, is he trying to make a divide line between the faith type people who believe, which is the first, and the scientific logic inquirer, which is the second?
No. Because because I'm starting with 12 chapter, 11 chapters have gone. And that's why all this confusion. Because from 7 to 11 chapter, Lord Krishna is already talking about him as everything. This is why he is not talking about this faith-based. Faith-based is there is some entity out there, I haven't seen it, but it must be there. So he is not talking about that, because that teaching that Ishvara includes everything is already taught from chapter 7 to 11. Now his question is, okay, you are explaining to me that there is this cause of the universe which pervades everything. Now I'm interested in the final reality. So what should my mind contemplate on? The final reality or understanding you as pervading everything? Is it clear? Yeah. So, Lord Krishna's answer is let's see what he has to say. So Lord Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshamano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Petaha Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Okay, who will read? Shimon, you will read?
Sri Bhagavan said, endowed with unflinching faith, their minds committed to me, being ever united with me, those who meditate upon me are considered by me as the most exalted.
Okay, so now Lord Krishna is certainly saying very categorically. What is he saying? Not Brahman but Ishvara. Okay, so why? We have to see that. Why we have to see that, and before we see that, we have to actually understand what is Ishvara that Lord Krishna is talking about. He is not talking about Mr. Krishna faith-based. He is talking about Bhagavad Gita is confused. I mean, if you don't understand properly, it's confusing. Okay. So first thing is, Vedanta is an inquiry into realities. And these realities actually include three things. It includes nature of I, nature of the cause of the universe, nature of the universe itself. And actually what happens is, all three of them resolve into one final reality, which is called Brahman. This is the structure of Vedanta. But what Arjuna is asking is, can I just go here, or I need to bring? I also need to think about this. And self is actually related to the cause. And Lord Krishna is saying that before you get there, you have to get to the cause. Why? Because, as I told you, we all live in this me versus the world scenario. And as we live in me versus the world scenario, what happens is the world seems to at times not treat us well. And when it doesn't treat us well, we have conclusions about the nature of the world. We have conclusions about nature of the world as either world is unfair, or you can say world is random. Sometimes I get lucky and I get things, and sometimes I don't get lucky, or people are lucky and they get ahead, and I'm kind of, or sometimes I'm lucky and I get ahead, and poor people who are left behind. So this is our conclusion about the world. So unfair, random, or it is, the third possibility is, it is intelligently put together. You first need to decide what is the nature of the world in which you are living. Because what happens is, our understanding of the world depends upon the experiences that we have. So in the countless flow of time, we have experiences, and those experiences sometimes are to our liking, sometimes are not to our liking, or sometimes it's not only us, but when we look at people around us. So there are so many of them who come to me, by the time you're 40, 50, you've seen enough in life. So people keep coming to me and said, she has not done anything, and how much she's suffering. For last 30 years, one thing after the other is happening to her. So that means when you keep hearing, even if it's not you, and when you hear the stories, what happens is, it affects your understanding of the world. So therefore, it seems to us that it is either unfair or random. But actually we need to replace this because if you live with this is your implicit understanding of the world, whether you actually say it out or not, right? The fact that you have hundreds of stories about how people are suffering, and how this happened to this, and how I lost this one, and all kinds of stories. Even if you don't explicitly tell yourself that I live in an unfair world, this is your implicit assumption. And as it is your implicit assumption, your decision making gets all disturbed and distorted. And as your decision making gets distorted, what happens? The feedbacks that you get also are sometimes inappropriate. And those inappropriate response further confirms your feeling of that things are not well, and then attribute it to external world. How many in discussions that we have, how many times in the name of being intellectual, we complain about the society, we complain about the culture, we complain about the political system, we complain about the environment, we complain about the social, we keep complaining. So that means, what it means is, for us, the world is just one chaotic place.
I think last time I did understand what you mean by intelligently put together, and that there are causes and causes, and yes. I did agree with what you said. And at the same time, and I want to know why I can't think both of them. I think that someone who is born in a family starving and with his mother dying, even if it's causes, and I do understand that there was an intelligence which led to this situation, there is still unfairness if I'm born in a rich country, in a nice family, and if that baby is born and is going to be, butchered when he's 3 and
okay.
So can both?
Okay. Can coexist?
Yes, that was
can
my
both
question.
coexist. It's intelligent and at the same time chaotic.
And at the same time, there is unfairness. I'm not saying
So is it
chaotic,
unfairness or is it? So that means, let me ask you. Suppose, let me rephrase you. Right? I mean, this is the question. Suppose somebody falls right from the first floor. Suppose, and he injures his leg. Will you say the world is unfair?
No.
No. Why not?
Because he has some responsibility in what was happening. So in a way, he has decided to go on the roof and not to be,
Exactly.
But the baby, he has not decided.
So even if he has not decided, even then.
Neema, just maybe just taking an anecdote from what you said. You said that the waves are a part of the water and water is a part of the ocean.
No.
No.
No. I said the waves are part of the ocean, and both ocean and waves are ultimately water.
But in her question,
Yes.
the cause and effect is fairly, someone went down a stair or just fell down, injured. In a lot of cases, we can't make that relation very clearly. So
Just
this
because we don't make it clearly, does it mean that it doesn't exist? That
if
is
someone
the
just
question.
broke a leg and someone died, so we say same cause but different effect. So
Yeah. At the same time, so one fell from further, So what you need to understand is, so somebody died and somebody just injured the leg, but what is responsible for making that person fall and deciding how much injury? Is it some random factors or is it the law of gravity? It is the law of gravity. Please, if you don't understand this, that's when, because you can't on one hand you say everything is one and I am the whole, and live intelligently and at the same time subscribe to the world is so unfair. It's not possible. So that means over a period of time you need to re-examine the world and you need to change what you think about the world.
is it a function of reconciliation? Is it a function of understanding?
It is a function of understanding, because in
So
Bhagavad
what is that
Gita-
understanding?
So this is why. So I just am explaining that. So that means this is when I think she jumped the gun because she had listened to me about the intelligent order. Okay, when it is intelligently put together, what it means is, right. So that means this, if this is your feeling, it's unfair, it is random, then it actually, your decision making is distorted. Why? Because if you're living in a random world, what do? There is no connection between what you do and what happens. How do you live?
No, but that
Suppose-
still doesn't answer the question though.
If you're living in an unfair world where there are no proper compensation systems, then what? You just grab as much as you can, because there is no law which governs the compensation systems. So then you just grab. That's the only way to live. If your assumption is that you're living in an unfair world, or you feel so guilty for things which are your privileges. So that means so suppose you are born in a wealthy family, right? Either you can be very grateful and you can say, yeah, there is something which has enabled me to have this and let me share it with others. Or you can keep on looking at somebody else and said, oh, that person is unfairly suffering. Neither you are helping that person, nor you are enjoying what you have. You are just caught in your own paradigm of dissatisfaction. And you are complaining. So that's the choice. And this is what Lord Krishna is saying. Bringing Isvara in life is so important to grow and live in this world without loads. Because if you don't grow and live in this world without loads, the final reality will never be accomplished. So this is why bringing Isvara in your life is critical, because it makes you answer this question. Because when you look at it, what is the first, at the first sight, it seems as though things are unfair, because things are so differently placed. It seems as though innocent people are suffering and people who are corrupt, they are enjoying. This is a common feeling that people have. And this is what we call just your perception and your perception-based data that it gives you, but you haven't examined the world more deeply. This is why you need Bhagavad Gita, to help you relook at the world and change your relationship with the world. So Sajali, just one second.
I'm relating to something you said in the morning, which is the second condition about eligibility, which is to live through karma. So I'm just thinking that if so you just made the distinction between reconciling and understanding. So is it that I may reconcile, but really for that understanding to get imbibed and to assimilate in me, there are those years of karma which one needs to live through? Or is it
karma and all I haven't yet spoken, so forget it. Okay, right now it's a premature, because I haven't yet talked about karma and all that. So I'll talk about it later. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just thinking again a question. So, if you are born in a family which is rich versus a poor, I think from the self to the cause is, you can cause misery to your life by not doing an act, or by doing something, so you can elevate from a poverty to...
Exactly.
So is that how we are supposed to interpret?
Absolutely. Okay, now let's not even, when I'm talking about cause and effect, the first thing that comes to people's mind is karma. So we are not actually, when Lord Krishna is talking about the intelligently put together world, he's not actually talking only about karma. That is part of it, but that's not the only thing that he's talking about. So basically, when you look at the universe, let's start with your body. Did you put together your body? Did you sit and put all the different billions of cells together and say, I'm now going to make a kidney, now I'm going to make a liver, I'm going to make my respiratory system, let me put it all together. Suppose you had put it, you would have done something differently. Little taller, little slimmer, the white people want to become darker, the darker people want to become whiter. So everybody has something else in mind. So that means you didn't put together this body. You ask any medical student, how complex is this body? The first year, who was Dr. Mrinalini? She is a prof of anatomy, gynecology. But who you said you're a professor of a gynecology? So who was a professor of anatomy? Okay, no, okay, doesn't matter.
We learn anatomy.
You use and how difficult is the anatomy? Just understanding different parts of the body, huh?
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. Just to, even before you begin to understand the complex system and how to intervene and all, just to remember the number of parts that exist in the body itself is a very tough task. So that means intelligently put together. And suppose I ask you, this little body of mine is subject to how many different laws? It's subject to physical laws, and this is why even if the earth is moving, and suppose Australia is down there, is down under, people don't fall off. It's not like one day Andre went and then all his students went into the space. They fell off because it's governed by the laws of gravity. So very down under they are all held because of They are held by everybody, not only Andres, but each one of you is held by laws of gravity. Thousands of years ago, today, 2000 years from now, same story. Okay? So each physical body, just look at each physical body, is subject to physical laws. Each physical body is subject to chemical laws. Each one is subject to biological laws. Each one is subject to genetic laws. Yes, 1 minute. Each one is subject to what? Physiological laws. Psychological laws. Each little entity in this vast universe is connected through all these complex laws. So therefore, do you have a question, Sandra?
I was thinking, is there a name for a law that we cannot know everything about the physical body?
Sorry?
So is there also a law or a name for a law that we cannot know anything or everything about a physical body? Or
We can't know. In fact, we can't know everything about any of these laws. This is why we have entity, but these laws exist and they govern each one of us. So that means these laws are within our body, they are within your body, and also they are there in the universe connecting us all. Nobody can deny that. This is why suppose a scientist may never talk about Isvara, but suppose they look and they do genetic research. What are they doing? You sit and you can be crying about, my genetics have caused me to have diabetes and all. How is the research scientist looking at it? Oh, it's everybody's karma, world is unfair, somebody has diabetes, somebody doesn't have diabetes. How does he look at the world? He tries to understand the working of genetics. And within that working of genetics, what? He tries to intervene intelligently. So, this Surya was telling me that there is a whole big new thing about the genetic coding.
Epigenetics.
So that means many of our diseases are what?
Genome coding.
Genome coding, yeah. So that you know what it is? That
they look at the chromosomes X and Y and they kind of alter that.
And they alter it so that they can. So now the thing is, there are a lot of moral debates. How much can you change? And suppose there are some side effects. Who will bear the consequences? All of this. So that means this is what we call intelligent intervention. You look, you try to understand the complexity of this genetic coding, and then you try to intelligently intervene. So either you can do that, understand how intelligent the universe is and or you can sit and complain why life is treating me so badly that I have diabetes at a very young age and I can't enjoy the sweets, and why somebody else can eat so well. And so that's a way of looking at the world. So therefore, can anybody deny? Or in fact, every scientist, when all of them, when they intervene, what we call within science, you have basic research, pure research, and you have applied research. The basic pure research is all about understanding the complexity here. Any medical cure that you have, any innovation that you have, is all basically first looking into the incredible intelligent order of the universe. They are spending their lives. They may never give the name Isvara, but they have dedicated their life in understanding one given thing. And they understand intricacies, whether it's a quantum physicist or a neuroscientist or is a astronomy, whatever. Everybody is trying to understand, and they look at the universe and its complexity and the amazing intricacies. So therefore, and then you have something called applied research. So that means then you use human creativity. Having understood these laws, what you can do is what? Get to work these laws to work for you. That is applied research. So that means, suppose the physical laws, the first step was understanding the law of gravity. Then using this very law of gravity, sending rockets to the space. Do you understand? But can you do it without understanding this? You can't. Anybody who wants to make the world work for them, they have to change their view of the world. If you keep on telling yourself based on your extremely limited data, the world is millennia, you are looking at it from here. And here obviously things are skewed. But if because of this skewed, if your conclusion is this, you miss this whole big picture. And when you miss this whole big picture, your life goes in misery, because what are you going to do? There are thousands of people who think that you think they need help. But not only that, you yourself need help. But everything goes as thinking that, oh, now you don't do enough either to help you or you don't help anybody else. There is no intelligent navigation because you don't understand the world adequately. You're stuck with your dissatisfaction. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. If you're stuck with your dissatisfaction and then you want to escape it all and go to Brahman, forget it. You first have to make your interaction with this world meaningful. And in order to make your interaction with the world meaningful, you need to re-understand the world, not from your impressions, which give you this data, but well-examined world, which is nothing but intricate laws. There is nothing personal about it. So our teacher used to always say that suppose, right, you go, there is a tree standing there, and you go and rub against the tree. Who will get hurt? You. Can you blame the tree for it? No, because the tree is only standing there. You're using your free will to go and rub against it. And what happens? You get rubbed in the process. Then you don't cry and give names to tree. So this is what we say in addition. So let's look, ask the psychologist and psychiatrist. Aren't you intervening? So the person comes to you, Sarita, and she says, oh, my husband is like that, and my wife is like that, and my this is like that, and my mother-in-law is like that, and the whole world is bad, and I'm poor victim, and I'm so good, but nobody listens to me. This is the story of many people. And what do you do, Savita? You make them.
Since when it is happening?
So that means, so don't think that it's only these poor people. All the rich people and all kinds of people go with all kinds of afflictions. So first thing we all have to learn is, please don't divide the world in privileged and unprivileged. There is no such thing. Everybody has their fair share of pain. Everybody has their fair share of pleasures. Everybody has their fair share of dilemmas, predicaments. Arjuna, all of them. this view of looking at the world that I'm very privileged. Hey, if I ask you 10 more questions, you'll start crying. So that means that the world is, you're given a brain. That brain is an amazing tool that you, either that becomes a problem solving entity, or it is a dissatisfied entity as a result of not understanding the nature of the world accurately. So that means the first thing that we all have to do is to get the world to work for you. So that means in that you have to, how will you get the world to work for you if you don't invest in understanding the world? So that means all of these have intelligent interventions. A psychologist can help you see that you are not a victim. In fact, the job that they do is what? Give you the sense of responsibility and ownership. And when you start taking responsibility for your choices, your actions, then that whole vision of yours about poor me, that goes away, or why me goes away. They have tools to do that. In addition to these, so all these complex laws, Isvara also includes two critical laws, which are what we call law of dharma and law of karma. Dharma refers to your faculty of choice. Faculty of choice means, it's very easy. What it means is, in any given situation in time, as Rajoshik was talking about, situation comes in front of you and you have a choice as to how to deal with the situation. Either you can do something about it, or you choose not to do anything about it, or you can do things differently. All the possibilities are given within human brain. What happens is we don't use it adequately. So when we don't use it adequately, because we have all these notions which are looming large, then the consequences are going to be inadequate because this is insufficiently or not well used. Then our opinions get further confirmed. This is how we continue to live our life. And the normal person lives with sense of isolation, sense of dissatisfaction. Also, somehow within this world, whatever opportunities I have to kind of make the world work for me. So I begin to consume as much as possible for self gratification. What is the second? Dissatisfaction. Right? Now, when you bring Isvara in your life, the whole picture will change. When you understand that you are living in this intelligent order, where not only all these laws are governing not only each body, but they are also out there. They are governing the plant kingdom. They are governing the animal kingdom. They are governing the interaction between you and me. So the very fact that I need to make food. So how is the food produced? Through biological laws. How is the rain produced? Through physical laws. So that means each entity, each small entity in the universe is within that entity. All these laws are coordinated, whether it's a fish or it's the aquatic creatures or birds or animals or human beings or any species that you talk about. And it is what? The interaction of all that is also governed by these laws. The forces that you see in this universe, they are all governed by these laws. So therefore, this kind of a thing will lead immediately from isolation to connection. Whether you like it or not, you are connected. You are connected to this vast universe. And connected and interconnection. Who was talking about interconnection? Priyanka was talking about interconnection. Interconnection to the magnitude that you cannot imagine. So Surya shows a lovely video. So he's talking about these cyanobacteria. They are talking about cyanobacteria, which is what some billions of years ago. And all they did was they survived for 2 weeks. And what did they do during these 2 weeks? Gave out oxygen and absorbed carbon dioxide. That's all. 2 weeks, billions of years ago, that's all they did. What did it contribute to? Having enough oxygen on this earth so that human beings or any other living being can survive. So that means your life today is connected to what cyanobacteria did billions of years ago. He was a scientist, he was giving a TED talk. So he was talking about, it was an interesting talk because he was a scientist, he's at MIT. So he said that, it seems as though interconnectedness and all that, these are all spiritual ideas, and it's like this humanity, we want to feel as though we are all connected and all that. But these are actually facts. And they are scientific facts. The interconnection is the truth. The very fact that the dinosaur became extinct, that made it possible for mammals to survive. So your presence here is connected to those events. And so look at the magnitude of things. Bring your vision and look at the world in a different light. We look at through these little stories. We have this happened to this and that happened to this, and we are full of these stories. And we lose our perspective, that bigger perspective, to what is the nature of the universe in which we are living. Lord Krishna means think big. Look at the bigger picture. Don't get caught in small details. So this is why. So this is the whole gamut of connection that you have. So immediately bringing in Isvara will make you from isolation to connection. Immediately looking at Isvara will take you from dissatisfaction to gratitude. The very fact that you can open your eyes. So many things have worked in order to, and the fact that you can see, I can see Vaishali in front of me. So many things. My eyes have captured her. The eyes have sent a message to my neurons. My neurons are ticking, creating image of Vaishali in my head. At the same time I'm talking, I'm using my vocal cords. I'm doing multiple things all at the same time. Wonder. My digestive system is working, my circulatory system is working, my respiratory system is working. All is coordinated every second. So when one thing stops working, you will see how much trouble you have. But when it works, you don't think about it. What a wonder this universe is. What a coordination. So that dissatisfaction had to change into gratitude. Out of your gratitude, you can do many things. You feel full. Then you feel somebody needs your help. And you're more than willing to help others. And that is actually a nice way to live. I'm so happy and I'm so privileged that I'm willing to share my grace with so many people. Without this, things are unfair. It doesn't help you in any way. But I can do something about it. Wonderful. It has to come from no loads. It has to come from your understanding. And it has to come from your gratitude. So therefore, that dissatisfaction changes into gratitude. and consumer. So already the world is designed in a way that all of us are consuming so much. Just a simple meal that we will eat in the dining hall at dinner time. Just think about how many people work in order to make it possible for you. How many people? Just one meal of yours. People within people within people within people. Farmers, the transport company, then the cooks, then all the retailers who have vendors, then the oil, then the spices. It's endless. And then the forces participated, the sun participated, the waters participated. Simple act of yours, eating one meal. The whole universe worked for it. And what is the thought that you gave to it? So therefore, we have to relive in this world differently. So this is why immediately you understand that you are actually, the world is designed in a way that you consume so much and what you contribute is insignificant compared to how much you consume. And if you can shift from being a consumer and understanding that, hey, this whole world in which you are living is a benevolent world, it's not a mean world. Every need of yours is thought of and the universe is able to provide. So that means in that, then you have your part to play. Because you have come with the brain, you have come with the resources, you have come with your skills, you have come with your talents. You're not here to just witness and kind of take everything and still complain. You are here just to understand that interconnectedness and do your part. Play your part. That is the mind which is a mature mind. That is a mind which is a noble mind. That is a mind which is a load-free mind. Because neither you take on all the responsibilities on your shoulder for fixing the world. Because the world didn't need you. World is running for millennia. And after you are, your life is like a spark in this countless flow of time. This is the truth. And world will not need your help. After you go, it will run. But while you are there, you have to participate. You cannot just say, let me sit back and enjoy and complain. What? You have to participate.
I have the feeling that understanding that helped me reach the third goal, which is dharma, doing looking for karma and looking for what was the other one? Taking care of others and also, but you need that to do the dharma thing.
Excellent.
But I mean.
Okay, wonderful. So what are you saying? Yeah, say it. I think it's good. What are you saying?
No, but I'm saying that for me it's not even yes, of course it's involved in moksha, but it's even before that. Excellent. Because otherwise you
This is exactly Arjuna's question is, and this is what you are answering. Right? Arjuna's question is, I want moksha, I want the final reality, I want to contemplate on the final reality, forget about my participation here. What is Lord Krishna saying? Lord Krishna is saying, it sounds like a wonderful goal, but you can't skip your participation. So this is, you bring me means you bring the understanding of the intelligent order. And within this intelligent order is your responsibility. If you try to skip that and only think about the final reality, it is all flying up in the air without creating a firm foundation of intelligent interaction with the universe. So this is exactly, so you are saying now Lord Krishna's answer, now you understand. Yes?
But I still find some things unfair.
I think maybe what you can say is that the world actually is impersonal world, right? It's impersonal.
Yes.
So that means that it's not, nobody's is out there to give you a hard time. Nobody's out there to randomly make you suffer. That's not the world. It has what? Compensation systems. What is compensation system? The cause will produce an effect. And suppose you keep producing wrong causes and you expect the effects to be good, then sorry, you have to change the nature of the causes without projecting all your anger on the world. So that's all it is showing. Right? So that means what Lord Krishna is then saying is, this is the critical from consumer to being a contributor. This is the first step, and that comes with your understanding of Isvara. Without this, a mind is trying to think about the final reality, it is flying. So therefore, in this comes all your emotional unloading. In this comes your self-image. In this comes all your attitudes, your responsibilities, everything comes here. So the whole chapter is about how do you bring the understanding of Isvara in your daily life and change your life. And as you begin to change your life, you can live more meaningfully. And as you begin to live more meaningfully, you become more cheerful, you become more, a contributor, your loads begin to reduce, you begin to have a good self-image, you feel connection to everything else in this universe. And there comes your expansion. And that person then becomes ready for the final reality, which is moksha. Don't skip this step.
Since you allowed stupid questions, so there is.
I don't consider any question stupid, so don't worry.
So, with my limited understanding, the first impression of all Vedantic you get is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. This can be lack of my understanding or frivolousness. But, Yama didn't tell this to Nachiket, that there is a Jagat, you need to relate to it. All reinforcement, comes to Jagat Mithya. So how does this reconcile?
Okay, so this is why I'm saying that the Bhagavad Gita has a very special place because Lord Krishna talks about all this. He talks very explicitly about this. Upanishads don't think, yes, maybe they don't talk about it in this way, but they do talk about Isvara. They have upasanas, they have lots of upasanas, and they have lots of stories about, for example, Nachiketa, right? Suppose take Katha Upanishad. Through the story of Katha Upanishad, what kind of person Nachiketa was, there's lots of values are shown. Unfortunately, when the teachers teach, they skip that part and they only emphasize on the final reality. But actually, the story, if embedded in the story, is all these values.
In fact, can I add something? Even in Kathopanishad itself, towards the end, there is one portion which shows an analogy of this pursuit as being like a kind of body.
Yeah.
And what are the pillars? What are the foundation of this pursuit of moksha? And it clearly says, it gives the emphasis on satya, on the pursuit of the truth, and also dharma. It's written black and white. But the point is that it is saying that much. It's not elaborating this idea of dharma like it is elaborated in Bhagavad Gita, in this chapter 12, for example, or some other things.
But is it a function of time and space, or time and place? Sorry, the message evolves.
The message is there. It is there in a seed form. Okay? And they chose, this Upanishad chose to expand upon one particular subject matter. But the other one is there also. Very much.
I would also like to answer it slightly differently also. I mean, what he's saying is absolutely right. But you know, this Vedanta is part of the Vedas. And Vedas, if you look at the first part of the Veda, it's so many prayers relating to Isvara, relating to this, and it's all about that. And so what they are the whole thinking line of Vedas is that you have to first become that person who is a mature human being, and at one point, in spite of getting everything, you will realize that you still haven't got everything. So you need to then go for the final knowledge. But unfortunately, if you don't bring in the whole context, it seems as though you just know Atma is Satyam and forget about everything else. Not at all like that.
But there is an attempt to establish the superiority of Gyan over Karma.
So obviously, because this, as we will see tomorrow, it is a preparation. Ultimately, this, as Surya says, is a foundation. So you need a strong foundation. Suppose you want to build a strong building, you need a strong foundation. But a foundation in itself is not the final goal. So that relationship is that I will talk about tomorrow. What is a primary means? What is a secondary means? What is direct knowledge? What is indirect knowledge? All that I will talk about tomorrow. But you are absolutely right. If anybody is teaching Vedanta without emphasizing all of this, that person is actually at times misguiding, because you kind of tend to say, yeah, everything is mithya, everything is namarupa, this is the final goal, everything is useless. It's not like that. Categorically, Lord Krishna answers like this, that without this, that goal is not achievable. You need to first change.
There in Atma Buddha itself, the first verse, Vitaga Ragina, Kshina Papana. What was it?
Kshina Papana.
The whole thing is about
it started
how
like
you
that.
grow as the person who was less low, who has taken care of your binding desires, who has a relatively composed and cheerful mind and so on. How do you get there? And in fact, it's saying this book is for these people. So it means that, hey, but then tell me now, how do I become this person who is an adhikari for this teaching? It's there also in the text, right? So see, it's there. See, even Atma Buddha is there in a seed form.
So in other
So
words,
you have to build a connection. Some texts will emphasize one aspect, some texts will emphasize other. Some texts, some chapters of the Gita are very complete. They bring all the aspects together. This one, this chapter 12, really emphasizes this, which is really a key. Some will speak more about dharma, some will speak more about meditation, and so on. So all these different dimensions of growth that are necessary are spoken about. But see if some teachers decide just to focus on one thing, then they miss the entire, let's say, richness of this tradition. And this is a bit, I agree with you, absolutely.
So that doesn't say the other final thing is not important, but the final thing along with this makes it complete. If you do only this, then it's not complete. If you do only that, it's also not complete. So that's why Vedanta is actually complete.
I didn't want to make it intellectual. Experientially, it's easier to do this than that, right?
And this
Except
is
for a
exactly,
retreat.
and this is exactly what Lord Krishna is saying. Lord Krishna is saying that, hey, you first get this right, because that
Having gratitude can change your life experientially.
Absolutely.
That's of more priority.
Absolutely. So that means the whole book will talk about different dimensions. I will elaborate on this, different dimensions. How do you become this person? This person. Move from this person to this person in different aspects of your life. And what Lord Krishna is saying is, if you haven't done this, forget about the final thing.
that just will not happen. It's just
That would not happen.
You can read
Exactly.
for 1,000 years Vedanta. Or
Absolutely.
This, in Korea,
Absolutely.
There's not enough
There is not
clarity
enough.
to really
Absolutely.
grasp it. And then
Yeah.
And actually, to do these things, we have to remember what for we do it.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Even while you do it, you have to remember what for you do it.
Otherwise, you will just be doing gratitude thing all your life, or several lives, or just meditate all your life, or just take care of your psychological, let's say, well-being. You will miss the boat as well. But that also is part of the journey also. See, you have to balance it. Because maybe in this time of somebody's life, he needs to work on this particular aspect. And it's fine and it's beautiful. And then as he expands and he grows, then he will touch upon some other dimension as well. You see, so you have to see it in a dynamic way and without being like judgmental on this. But that is possible only if you have the entire picture of what is the subject matter of love.
I just want to say, from years I've been harping. Even you might have heard telling that from childhood I know. But now I'm just realizing that no, then I'm asking always, if I know then, so now I understand I know, but what's the point? Because I directly won't know that. I am not going through that is why maybe I'm miserable in some areas. It's as simple as that. I am also going behind Brahman.
Yeah.
The difference here is in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan himself is telling everything, and other places, rishis, and so definitely his place is the highest one.
See, also like in Chandogya Upanishad, for example, we study 6th chapter, right? So 6th chapter is all about reality, Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi, it's said like, I don't know, 8-9 times. It is 9 times. So again and again it is shown this reality. But the first 5 chapters of Chandogya Upanishad, they are all about upasanas. Upasanas is all about relating to Isvara. So what happens is that when you start with 6th chapter, it seems it's only talking about that, but because you have not seen the first 5 chapters.
Or someone has told you this is superior.
Exactly. So this is how. So that's why the teacher is, that's why our teacher was great, because he had very much, you need that bigger picture also, because otherwise you still remain a small individual. But in order to get that picture, this is absolutely critical. You can't try to skip this and get there. Not possible.
Neema. So when Krishna says me, like is he talking from the standpoint of Isvara or Brahma?
He knows both, but he is right now talking about Isvara, because he says in me, he is talking about Isvara. Because Arjuna's question was, do I think about the final reality, or do I think about you as Isvara? But Isvara not as Mr. Krishna, but as this intelligence which pervades the whole universe.
Because I'm finding it difficult to distinguish between relating to Isvara and relating to Brahman. So what's the difference?
So difference is ocean. It's like a difference between ocean and water. A wave either keeps thinking about water, or ocean. The wave thinks about the ocean. Right. So that means you, the individual, can say the ultimate reality about me is Brahman. But suppose you want to do that, you are not bringing Isvara at all. Right? You are just looking at the final, everything gets reduced to one reality, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. You are not looking into how did this universe come about, how is it connected, what am I supposed to do here, how do I improve my participation here, how do I get my mindset from here to here. This is all by bringing Isvara.
Basic question just to his point. Isvara is, he is saying the cause of the universe, right? So what is Brahman then?
Brahman, I haven't yet talked about it.
There is reference coming in, so
yes.
just not.
So that means Brahman is equivalent to water, but we haven't studied that yet.
We haven't studied.
So please don't ask me questions about things that we have not studied.
Atma-bodha is all about
Atma-bodha is all about this final reality. So the way we have organized this retreat is, the morning classes will talk about the final reality, and the evening classes will talk about Isvara. That will make it all complete. Otherwise, it sounds like, that one is like only, it almost seems like a mind game. Some people who are like physicists and all, they come to our retreat, they love it. But for them, it's like a intellectual stimulation, that, let's figure out how is this infinity, and they get kick out of it. Really, they get kick out of it. But it's not only about that. It's about changing as a human being. So between morning and evening class, hopefully it will be complete teaching. And by the end, you will know what is Brahman, you will know what is Isvara, you will know what is Atma, you will know what is the equation. All this will be clear on the, hopefully, on the 12th?
Yes.
11th. So, you will have to go step by step.
You start clearing, it will not clear. Start clearing.
Yeah, you will start clearing. Yes.
So are we building a decision tree or a neural network? Because it seems to be overly complicated.
What? And this is why Vedanta, as I told you, that don't think that you can understand Vedanta completely. In the 10 days, people spend lifetimes. So this is why Lord Krishna was, what Arjuna was asking Lord Krishna, what if, and Arjuna was brilliant and he had a teacher like Lord Krishna. And he says, what if I don't totally understand and grow as much, as you tell, so what will happen to me? So Lord Krishna will say, don't worry, you will continue your journey. So that's okay. But that doesn't mean that you have to say, I'll continue my journey, because all this is possible within one lifetime. It's amazing how malleable human brain is. How fast it can learn, how fast it can change its patterns of thinking, behaviors, attitudes, everything it can change. It's an amazing tool, but you have to apply it sharply. Don't use this amazing teaching in just parts and escaping, and that doesn't help, or loosely. It doesn't help anybody. You have to see this teaching in its totality. It is a beautiful teaching. So complete. It has every aspect.
Can I clarify one thing? As you are saying that there are a lot of law and there is an intelligence in the universe, and that we have to look at the big picture. Is it, in fact, do you have trust in the universe at the end?
Superb. This is, Matthew, this is really critical, because excellent. This is something which is really, your last line is a tagline, super. Okay, this is what. So ultimately you want to get to understand that there is this intelligent order, and you want to trust. You want to have trust in this universe. This is the key. If you interact with the world with all kind of suspicion, distrust and all, what whole? What will you understand? I'm the whole. It doesn't go along. You can't have a mindset which is all non-trusting and then say everything is one and I'm the whole and all. Just doesn't gel. So that means your relationship with the world has to shift from this distrust to trust. Absolutely. And in that trust, you will become so much more noble as a result. And you will do what you have to do. And you will be able to use your brain intelligently to a problem-solving mode rather than a blaming mode. So that means if you really want to understand that ultimately, initially, the thing is you need to trust life. And the trust can only come if you understand the intelligent order. Otherwise it cannot come. Because your eyes provide the data, and that data is all over. Somebody says, oh, my son died. Now it's true, it is traumatic. But if you only look at the world from your little experiences, it all seems, then you can't trust. That's why you need to look at a much bigger picture and look at really what is the nature of the world, and change your opinion about the world and learn to intelligently navigate in this world.
Can I continue? Because
yes.
This, when it was written, Vedanta, it was in a period where it was not possible to end the world. And now with the climate change or this question, we might face a possibility to end the world. So does it change anything in your teaching?
Nothing is changing my teaching, because my teaching has this Isvara, the intelligence. I will talk about the whole of Isvara. That's a very good question. So what happens is, this is a manifestation of the universe. This can any time become unmanifest and manifest again. So that doesn't really, end of the world is not the end for us. It's what we call, the nature of the universe is cyclical in nature. Suppose our behavior is so crazy that we
blow up the planet.
The life of Earth is a kind of threatened, then anyway it doesn't matter, because then we again yet another manifestation. At the same time, that doesn't mean just because there is going to be another manifestation you don't change anything, right? So it actually, when you say, suppose let's look at, okay, I'm going way over time, ecological problems, right? So when you understand that today's mess, global warming and this and that, is because of the causes, so what you have to do is what? Not blame the world, but change the nature of your causes, interventions, if you want to free yourself from it. This is what we call understanding what the world is and then intelligently navigating.
But aren't we also talking about this whole thing of creation, preservation and destruction, which means that there will be pralaya and there's going to be another creation. Because that's how we have gone through series of evolution.
That's true. So that is, the world is cyclical in nature, but that doesn't mean you have to be irresponsible. Right?
But I'm saying it will happen eventually.
It will happen eventually. That's true.
No, but I'm saying
This is
then there's again going to be newer birth that will come in. So
yeah, so this is why, as I said, this is a cyclical in nature. For us, this end of the whole is not just the end. I will talk about it. So there are cycles, but the cycles, what is our purpose in those cycles of creation? Not to make work for destruction, right? You have to do what you have to do to improve your participation. And destruction may happen anyway, but that's not, you don't have to accelerate that. So.
But can we? Can we accelerate or deaccelerate?
Through our actions. Through our actions we can. So this is.
So there's no prefix calendar on these things.
So a prefix calendar, well, actually, suppose, so we have to then understand the nature of Isvara. Isvara, if it was a person who was deciding everything, then what will happen? But Isvara is not a person. Isvara is the intelligence, laws. So that means, now suppose you ask, what is going to be 100 years from now? It all depends upon the nature of actions that we all perform. So Isvara is in form of intelligence, laws and possibilities. So possibilities means its overall design, because it follows the laws, it can't be outside those laws, but it's not all fixed. This is why we have responsibility. This is why you have to understand the nature of world and begin to intervene intelligently. Because the nature of the universe is that not only you have the capacity to make your choices, but then it has feedback systems. So that means if your choices are not good, then the feedback system is going to be not pleasant, and nobody wants suffering, either at collective level or at individual level. So that means the growth, human growth, is understanding the world and improving your interactions.
But maybe it is differ with you on this one, because I thought if life was broken into phases, which was spoken as yugas, we had Satya Yuga, Kali Yuga, and it's again that cyclicality does come in. So we will have the cyclicality coming in. So why is that different?
See, the thing is, cyclical nature of the universe is that doesn't absolve you from dharma.
See, responsibilities will remain. I'm not saying that anybody's shying away, but I'm saying to his question that will this current state of world finish? It would finish. There would be
the world is changing anyway, but is it totally predetermined? That is not the case. Nothing is. If everything was predetermined, what is the role of your actions? How will your doing anything or not doing anything change anything? So that means world is something which is constantly, you participate in, you're a co-creator in some ways. So that means the world, because world is in form of laws and possibilities. So that your actions are going to have a say in what the world is going to be 100 years from now. And this is when, if you understand the world accurately and behave properly, then this is how you become the person who grows. That's when Ishvara's grace comes to you, because you understand. And that's when you begin to reduce your papas. And this is when the knowledge comes to you, which is a bigger picture. So, yeah, it's way past. Andre. Okay, and then I will do till 7 and then we'll finish. 7 is dinner time, I'm sure.
I like to bring this to to embody everything that we said pertaining to the verse, which says, "Those who meditate upon me." So that word meditate, so confirming this is correct for my thinking, does that involve the understanding or the contemplation upon everything that we've just learned, and integrating that into my daily understanding and interactions with the world?
Excellent.
Yes. Okay.
Very good. You circulate to everyone. He's very good. And this Andre is very good because he every complex idea he actually synthesizes in 1 or 2 words, which actually get the crux of what we are discussing. Very good, Andre. And he's short and he's succinct, but he understands the whole thing. It's very good. Yeah, that is the whole point. Very good. So meditate doesn't mean you sit and meditate on Ishvara. He's not saying that, right? Okay. So now, anyway, there's a lot more to learn. Today is only the first day, so we will next. So we'll learn a lot more about Ishvara. We'll learn a lot more about Atma. We'll learn a lot more about growth. We'll learn a lot more about everything. So, but good, you're all a very enthusiastic audience and ask me some hundreds of questions. So for a teacher, there is nothing better than that.
So we'll also learn about reincarnation.
Reincarnation, kind of. Kind of. Yeah. I will learn about everything. What is important will learn. And what is not so important will understand it's not so important. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.